board member of Voices. She's earned a master's degree in divinity and a PhD in theology and the arts. Victoria is a lecturer emerita at San Jose State University in comparative religious studies. She's written numerous articles and a book, Acting Religious Theater as Pedagogy in Religious Studies. As a theater writer-director of 40 years, her work has been seen in New York City, LA, and San Francisco. Victoria is also a Roman Catholic priest. Victoria was a Fulbright Scholar in Bethlehem, Palestine in 2018-19. Her play, Miriam, a Woman of Bethlehem, premiered in Bethlehem and toured Palestine. At Rossmore in February of last year, she co-wrote and co-directed Voices from the Silenced, pre-Roe abortion stories. The play has since been made into a film. Victoria will share with us recent direct communications with a resident of the West Bank. We'll then show a 27-minute video, what it's like to live in the occupied West Bank during the Gaza war, after which Victoria will lead a discussion. Please welcome Victoria.
Don't worry, we're all excommunicated. Okay then. Well, thank you for this opportunity to share a few thoughts and experiences. We're kind of straddling two microphones here today because the sound is not quite working. So, we'll do our best. There's a little bit of a ring.
Yeah, I think put the microphone in front of the other microphone.
In front?
Yeah.
You mean this way?
Yeah.
In front? No, it's still ringing. How about in back? Hello? A little better? Yeah. Okay, good. So, I want to just very briefly tell you about, no, she's back. Hello?
Maybe turn off the other microphone.
No, I'm afraid to do that. All right. So we'll try it over here for a minute, and then we'll move back. I'm sorry, you've got to crane your necks over there. Maybe I'll just come over here. Okay. How's that? All right. We'll do dancing lessons later. All right. I've been in Israel, Palestine 3 times. 2016 was the first trip where I flew into Tel Aviv and flew in for a 6-week study program at Tantur Ecumenical Institute, which is under the aegis of the University of Notre Dame. I was with professors, nuns, and priests for 6 weeks, and we traveled all over Palestine and Israel. At the end of it, I traveled to Bethlehem and stayed in Ida refugee camp for 3 days with a family who taught cooking classes. In 2017, I flew in to Tel Aviv at the invitation of Dar al-Kalima University of Arts and Culture. A taxi took me to the wrong place in downtown Bethlehem, the Bible College. And I was getting out, and this was at night, I was getting out of the taxi, and suddenly tear gas canisters exploded all up and down the Jerusalem-Hebron Road, which is the main road in Bethlehem, and very near the taxi. So I skedaddled very quickly into the Bible College, even knowing it was the wrong place, but wanting to get out of the way of the tear gas. And they said, oh, don't worry, this happens all the time on Friday and Saturday nights. This was 2016. 17. And they said, we'll put you in a car that we have and take you to Dar al-Kalima, don't worry. I taught a 2-week workshop there, exploring Islam and Christianity using theater. And leaving Tel Aviv, there's a reason I keep mentioning Tel Aviv, you'll hear in a minute. Leaving Tel Aviv, I got to the airport and was waiting for the plane, and I heard my name over the loudspeaker. And I went to the information desk, and the IDF wanted to talk to me. And they said, why do you have Arabic literature in your suitcase?
Oh my gosh.
I had literature from Dar al-Kalima University in Arabic and in English that I was excited to take back to the United States to tell people about this wonderful university. And they then took me backstage at the airport and wanted to know people I had talked to, wanted to know precisely what I had done. And they said at the end of multiple questions, all right, we're going to have to search you. So you're going to go in the other room and take off all your clothes. What choice do you have? So I did, like many Palestinians. They finished, and they said, fine, put your clothes back on. Oh yeah, your bag, take your bag and all that literature, and get on your plane. It was just as rude as that. So I got on my plane and journeyed home. But I could leave, you see. In 2018, again I flew into Tel Aviv, and recall that it was 2018. Donald Trump was president. Recall that in that year he announced that the US Embassy would move to Jerusalem. And as a Fulbright scholar, I learned at the consulate, at the US consulate to the Palestinian Authority, that it would soon close. This was the closure of the diplomatic arm of the Trump administration, our government, that reached out to the Palestinian people. That was the beginning of my Fulbright 7 months living in Bethlehem. I had a very hard time. I have thousands of pictures. But I just wanted to choose 6 of them to show you, and then go on with the rest of the program. So we're going to do that. After I run through these slides, I'm going to read to you various conversations that I've been having with my friends in Bethlehem in the last few weeks, last couple of months. So that's where we're headed. Okay. So Bethlehem, West Bank, I was there 2018-19, living in Bethlehem for 7 months. This was my spice store on the left. And on the right, you can see the wonderful, one of the very traditional ways that bread is made and baked on many street corners in Bethlehem. This was the university where I taught. Imagine in Gaza that all the universities that live there, that exist there, are gone at this point. Rubble. The people on the left, your left, are faculty of Dar al-Kalima, and the woman in the black sweater at the table, looking at the camera, is the dean of students, and she's the reason that I was really able to go for a Fulbright, and I think to be accepted. Extraordinary woman. And that's me on the right there in downtown, Old Town Bethlehem. Cold. On your left, the actresses slash students that I worked with at Dar al-Kalima to create a play, Mariam, a Woman of Bethlehem. On your right, my class of students where I taught performance studies. And on your left, this was the poster for the play that performed in Bethlehem in Arabic and then toured Palestine. And on your right, the two actresses came to the United States after much doing in 2022 and performed at the Hammer Theater in downtown San Jose under the aegis of San Jose State University. You can see it, by the way, if you go online. So, Mariam, a Woman of Bethlehem. It'll come right up. Okay, so now, let's see if this part works. We're going to jump to today. And the various, these statistics. Well, whoops, interesting, it doesn't show. Why is that? Don't know. Tech problems. Why is this not showing? Well, I didn't go through all of them, and I should have. If anyone has any ideas. Yeah, because you saw the PowerPoint. It doesn't count? Oh. Yes, it appears to be on the internet, yeah. This is my spouse, Catherine. She's here to pull me out of a tight space. Yeah, but it's not showing up there. See, that's a problem. I'm just wondering if it has to do with mirroring. I'm also looking for my cursor. Where did it go? You see?
It's easier to see on the screen.
Pardon?
You can see the cursor on the screen.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Hello. But the cursor's not showing up. Well, here, let's see. What if I escape from this, right? Yeah, I think. Try to go. Well, yes, but that's my PowerPoint. What? Okay. Well, until the next time it doesn't work. All right, so I'm just going to read you the numbers that I'm looking at here. The numbers for the occupied West Bank, 420, since October the 7th, 427 people have been killed. 113 of them are children. More than 4,650 people have been injured. They're not even counting the number of thousands of people that have been put in prison. Okay, so now, let's see. again. Excuse me 1 minute. I'm going to check and see. Mirroring is going to be the problem. Okay, so just a little bit of background. Of course, you all know that prior to 1946, that's what Palestine looked like on the left, far left. Then we see the partition, 1947, the UN partition, and you can very clearly see Israel in yellow and Palestine in green. In 1967, you begin to note that the word Palestine is no longer there on the map. It says West Bank, and suddenly Israel is a lot larger. And the West Bank is a lot smaller, as is Gaza. In the present, what says now, all the way to the right there, you see that what was the West Bank is now Swiss cheese. And that's exactly what the intention was. Ariel Sharon, who was one of the prime ministers of Israel, said, we intend to make the West Bank like Swiss cheese. And that's what it is. So we'll say more about that later. I'd like to give you a little bit of proximity here. So, again, looking for, my cursor, there it is. So right about up here, where my cursor is Tel Aviv. And right about over here is Amman, Jordan. By taxi, it takes you 1 hour to get from Tel Aviv to Bethlehem. By taxi, it takes you approximately 4 hours to get to Amman, Jordan, because you've got to go over a bridge. And the bridge is the Allenby Bridge, which is part of the border with Greater Israel, as it's called, and Jordan. But the reason I mention it is because Palestinians living in the West Bank, Palestinians, period, must fly out of Amman, Jordan. They are not allowed to fly out of Tel Aviv airport. So they have much further to go. And it's a much more difficult journey. Also, I want you to notice that this is Bethlehem, right here. And you can also see a big word Jerusalem there. That used to be a 20-minute drive. It now takes an hour and a half. And the hour and a half, those of us foreigners who have passports, you get on the bus in Bethlehem, and other Palestinians get on the bus, everybody's seated, you head out, and the checkpoint that is just outside of Bethlehem, the bus stops, and onto the bus comes the IDF. And the IDF says, in fact, the Palestinians know exactly what's going to happen. So they are already standing and getting off the bus. All the Palestinians must get off the bus and line up so that their papers can be checked, number one, and number two, that they have a permit to go into Jerusalem. They are not allowed to go to Jerusalem unless they get a permit, which you can imagine is a lot of bureaucracy and paperwork. You don't just hop in the car and go to Jerusalem. So those of us who have a passport, because remember, Palestinians don't have passports. They just have papers. They're stateless. So those of us with passports, the IDF, and mind you, the IDF looked a lot like my students at San Jose State. They're 18, 19, 20, with these huge machine guns. And they walk down the aisle and they look at your passport. And frequently, at least most of the time when I went into Jerusalem, there were always Palestinians that were left behind. Their papers weren't this, their papers weren't that, but we foreigners journeyed forward. By the way, the West Bank, in all of its Swiss cheesiness, is about the size of Delaware. Let me be precise about that. I was asked to say a few words about area A, B, and C to make sure that you understand how the West Bank is divided up. And this is kind of a shock for if you've never heard this before. So during the Oslo Accords, Palestine was divided, or the West Bank in particular, into 3 administrative zones. Area A, which is the dark red, comprises about 18%. And in Area A, the Palestinian Authority administers civil and security matters. All right, so that's Area A. In Area B, which is 22% of the land of the West Bank, the PA administers only civil matters. That means the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, it takes care of all the security in the pink zone. Now the largest area, as you can see, is Area C. And Area C comprises 60% of the West Bank. And this is where Israel maintains full control. So Area C includes all the Israeli settlements and 2/3 of the West Bank's fertile agricultural land. So while Area C is a continuous territory, areas A and B are fragmented into 166 little pieces. In spite of the breakdown of the Oslo process, Area A, B, and C remain in force to this day. So you're going to hear these 4 ideas during the next few minutes, very few minutes. Settlers and settlements, the securitization, the monitoring of all communications by Israel, the criminalization of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, and lastly, the intent by the Israeli government to further traumatize Palestinians. So from the website, If Americans Only Knew, these are all the names of settlements in the West Bank. 5 days ago, 3,500 new settler homes were approved in the West Bank. 70% of them east of Jerusalem. There are 700,000 settlers in the West Bank today. Now, this is going to be a little dicey because I'm going to hit this and I think it's not going to happen. Let's find out. All right. It's not going to change the color. Yeah. Right. So now let's see. I think it's... No, I'm hitting the escape button, but it's not going either. Well, all right. Rick, the problem that is going to happen, where are you, Rick? The problem that's going to happen here is that if I'm showing the 27-minute video, on this, same thing is going to happen. I'm not going to be able to show it.
What,
Try control and click.
This is an apple.
Oh.
You still haven't.
Control, click.
The apple click.
What's click?
Return.
Yeah.
zero.
So this is not the 27-minute film, but this is from the Wall Street Journal, obviously, and I wanted to show you what this... You may want to get your computer ready. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, this video, if you go to the Wall Street Journal website, you will see that this appeared about a week ago on the Wall Street Journal site. It is visual evidence that shows illegal settler construction in the West Bank is surging since October the 7th.
Yeah.
So, still gonna try and shoot. I can't even get out of it. I can't get back to the power. Maybe I should hit this. Well, that one? Now escape. There we go. All right, well, at least we got the PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Catherine. Where am I? I am in here. Okay, and let's go up here so you can see it. Okay. In the classes I would teach at San Jose State, I always had the techie students sit up front. They were enormously helpful. Okay, these are the myriads of checkpoints and roadblocks and closures that have happened in the West Bank since October the 7th.
They were not there before.
They were not there before. These particular checkpoints, and I'll read to you what there is. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tells us that the new orange gates dot the roads, cutting off almost all entrances to Palestinian villages and towns. According to the United Nations office, since October 7th, a total of 45 gates have been added across the West Bank, making a total of 214. Earthen mounds, concrete roadblocks, and ad hoc checkpoints also sever communities from main roads. I'm just going to read this. This is, by the way, from an article that appeared yesterday in the Washington Post. The Israeli government canceled the work permits of more than 170,000 Palestinian laborers, the World Bank said. And by the way, this is the result of all those road closures, okay? Tens of thousands more who worked in Israel illegally are now also out of jobs. Imagine that you live in Hebron and you were going to work in West Jerusalem. You couldn't get there. Over the past 5 months, Israel has erected dozens of new military checkpoints and blocked towns and villages from accessing main roads, according to the Israeli rights group B'Tselem. The worsening restrictions have stifled local trade and production, key pillars of the West Bank economy, and prevented another 67,000 Palestinians from physically returning to their workplaces, the World Bank said. The widespread loss of income is leading to desperation and rising social tensions, especially in the West Bank's crowded refugee camps, where local leaders and residents say domestic disputes are becoming more frequent and some parents are pulling their children from school to put them to work. The criminalization of the IDF under the cover of the relentless bombardment and atrocity crimes in Gaza, Israeli forces have unleashed unlawful lethal force against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. That from Amnesty International. Now, I'd like you to hear from my friends in Bethlehem. And I'm just going to read to you notes that I've taken over the last 2 months in particular from conversations. What people in the United States are doing is really important. It's so appreciated. Now, people all over the world know about Palestine, the occupation. But we can't wait anymore with all this starvation. We acknowledge all this beautiful work, but the situation now needs action. It seems the power is with governments, not with people. Bethlehem, as you know, Victoria, is surrounded by hills. On every hill is an Israeli settlement. The settlers are armed. They travel on special freeways when they come out of their settlements. They are always armed with weapons. We are surviving. We just try to just live. All entrances and exits to Bethlehem and all of our cities are blocked. We live near Daisha refugee camp. Since October the 7th, 70 out of 130 days, I have awakened in the night from gunfire in Daisha camp. Before October the 7th, the IDF used to come into Daisha camp every night between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Now they come all the time. The camps are the poorest people from multiple areas. They came after the Nakba and after 1967 from the north of Palestine. The soldiers are more savage with the people in the camps. I have heard this from many of my friends in the camps. When the IDF comes into a house or an apartment, they dump everything onto the ground, but they also steal money and jewelry. They make the people in the house take off their clothes. They have dogs with them. The women soldiers take the women in another room, and they make them take all of their clothes off, and they look into the private parts of the women, and they take pictures of the naked women. And yes, this is gender-based violence. A family business that I worked with, said another friend, a family business that I worked with, a bookstore. The soldiers upended everything. The soldiers took the printers, stole the computers and the money, even the paintings in the bookstore. They arrested the whole family, invaded their home, stripped the women. One of the women fainted. Later, the family apologized to me that they couldn't do business with me. They had nothing. In my university, says another woman, in my university in Bethlehem, registration dropped hugely this semester. The university said, come, it doesn't matter that you can't pay. Just come. And the registration went up 70%. My husband, Muhammad, his brother posted a picture of a martyr, and these days, anyone killed by the IDF is a martyr. The same night after he posted the picture of the martyr, Soldiers came to his house, woke everyone, broke his phone, and threatened his children. Everyone was terrified. I was reading an article today, this is Victoria talking now, that the Israeli government can listen in to every phone call that is made in Gaza or the West Bank. My mother, this is back to another friend, my mother, who lives in another part of Bethlehem, is 24 hours afraid. She walks to the outdoor market and returns home. She goes nowhere else. I myself avoid going out of my apartment. Since October the 7th, I try to mainly work from home. We all do just the bare minimum. My husband, Mohammed, works in Jericho. My sister-in-law, when my husband isn't back yet from Jericho, she calls and asks, is he home yet? My sister-in-law lives in Daisha camp. Often when I'm talking with her on the phone, she'll say, oh yeah, I'm hearing bullets. Yeah, they're across the street now. Should we grow used to living with fear and worry? I'm feeling this all the time. My father and father-in-law work for UNRWA, going back and forth from Bethlehem to Hebron. That's what they used to do. They drive in UNRWA cars and they wear UNRWA uniforms. Before October the 7th, they were always not stopped at checkpoints. Now the IDF prevents UNRWA at every opportunity. They cannot get into the refugee camp near Hebron, where we are bringing supplies and medical supplies. They are stopped at every checkpoint, and the soldiers harass them, saying, we are coming for you. My father said, we have not done anything wrong, but now everyone is vulnerable. Because Ramadan is soon, actually started yesterday, because Ramadan is soon, the Israelis are promoting fear of Muslims during Ramadan. During Ramadan, Muslims in the West Bank usually get permits to go into Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's a special place to go. You make the effort to go. This year, Ben-Gvir, who is in the Israeli cabinet, said, the Palestinians will never go again into the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Saudi Arabia, with Muslims wanting to go to do the Hajj in Mecca, are not allowing any visas for Palestinians this year. I think they're afraid that we will immigrate. I said to my friend, did you see over Christmas the picture that went viral of the baby Jesus in the rubble of Gaza? And she said, why do we have to convince people to pay attention? My friend said, I used to believe in human rights. I don't believe anymore. It's all a play. Everybody says they believe in democracy and human rights, but it's all a lie. I cannot watch or read the news, she said. In January, I stopped for 2 weeks, and then I started to watch what is happening in Rafah. I am back to watching and feeling huge amounts of anger. They send drones into Jenin, into Nablus, to kill, to target people. So now I think about the area right around me. This is selfish, but I can't lie. I can't prevent myself from thinking about myself and my safety. I am feeling I am just sitting still, waiting to be killed. I'm very indebted to all of the friends who gave me those thoughts, and I hope you will carry them in your hearts. Rick?
Yeah.
I leave you with this thought.
Disconnect yours.
Yeah, I'm going to. This is by the novelist Kanafani, who was assassinated in 1972 in Lebanon, a novelist, a journalist, and a resistance fighter.
Okay.
Thanks to Rick, we're now going to show.
Hopefully, don't promise anything yet, but,
All right.
If this is a movie, I don't have to videotape it. And I can talk. Oh, I should put this stuff in.